Now that we got that crappy joke out of the way.
Hello and welcome. Shit. Hello and welcome to another. Okay. Hello and welcome to another analysis video. So, we're gonna do something a little different this time. So, as I stated, I was gonna do the final trailer, but there's also a lot of other footage that wasn't in the final trailer. A lot of important pieces of clips in other shit. But yeah, basically we're gonna be covering every TV spot except for the one, which is Supremacy, which is literally just rerun footage of the Comic-Con footage from 2018. Jesus, I swear to God. Yeah. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it.
We'll start with the underwater base. After the events of 2014, Monarch started getting more influence amongst the nations, making way for new technologies to be made in hopes to study and combat the Titans. The oil rig-like base, dubbed Castle Bravo, named after the nuclear test in the 50s trying to kill Godzilla, is what Thomas Middleditch's character describes as Monarch's flagship, a research facility made to study and monitor Godzilla. Also looks like the place where they store the Mutos. And I've mentioned in my first reaction, King of the Monsters will have new technology, including hell to the yes. If you kept a sharp ear during the wave of promotions after the second trailer, then you probably noticed Godzilla has a few new roars. Well, Mike mentioned in an interview the changes he implemented to Godzilla wasn't only physical, he mentioned how he changed some of the roars as well to sound more like the original 1954 roar, and most of the marketing in the film utilizes not only the 2014 roar, but classic Showa and Heisei roars. But as the marketing started to pick up, TV spots started to rely on this roar. It sounds kind of familiar, right? Yep, it sounds like they used pitched down elephant noises and incorporated it into Godzilla's vocals. And this is just the one roar. Who knows what other roars we might be hearing in the movie. Now the more I think about this scene... Wait a minute. Is that Admiral William Sands? Why the hell didn't I cover him in the second trailer analysis? Now regarding the scene, I think the film will start with this scene. We get the three returning characters, Zarazawa, Vinny Graham, and Admiral William Stantz, confronting the senators regarding the the Titans. Thomas Middleditch's character is there being the link between the government and Monarch, and if you look closely behind him, you can see footage from the 2014 Godzilla film, mainly his first atomic breath scene, and in the next shot, it looks like Godzilla's fighting another monster. It's hard to tell whether this is one of the two Mutos, but it could possibly be another monster that he fought between the events of 2014 and King of the Monsters. But yeah, I think the conference scene will be the opening scene for King of the Monsters, mainly because it shows off ailments from the previous film, such as the characters and footage. But if you've seen King of the Monsters early, feel free to post a comment saying how wrong I am. That's if I am wrong. I don't know, I didn't see it. You know what, let's talk about this aircraft, why not? Thanks to recent merchandise and some viral marketing, we now know the name of this aircraft is the Argo, named after the ship that Jason and the Argonauts sailed on from Locos to Kolichis to retrieve the Golden Fleece. From what we see in the trailers and TV spots, it seems this ship will serve some major importance, such as bringing Rodan to fight Ghidorah, aiding in the final fight, and looks to be where a decent amount of the film will take place in. King of the Monsters seems to be showing no shortage of monster carnage. Dialogue from Admiral William Stantz confirms that the kaiju are everywhere.
Every continent on this planet is getting hit. Moscow, London, Washington, D.C. All under attack, with creatures we don't even have names for yet.
And these locations can be found on the Monarch Science site, while the trailer has shown that Washington will be the site of a kaiju showdown. So this is a thing a lot of us noticed, but didn't really answer, but it seems every time we see Mothra, she seems to be a different color. In the San Diego footage, she's mainly a very faint aqua blue. In the beautiful TV spot, she's sporting her original orange and blacks. In the second trailer, showing a gradient between the two. Even her larval form changes color from blue to red. The character has never really had the ability to change colors. The closest we have is Mothra Leo's continuous transformations in the Rebirth of Mothra trilogy. Maybe this color changing is linked to her bioluminescence, or this ability will serve as a major advantage for Mothra. Maybe she'll use her color changing to blend in with the cloud cover, to ambush Rodan and possibly Ghidorah. If you're an active member of any shitpost group, then you must be familiar with Rodan's dumb AI, I mean, his courageous efforts to go toe-to-toe with the golden... Why did I say it like that? But yes, it seems shortly after Ghidorah awakens, the first kaiju he goes up against is Rodan, and he seems to fare well on his own. Well, for the most part, and this is showing some parallels with the alleged leaks stating that Rodan would be beaten by Ghidorah but not killed, and would find allegiance with the three-headed space monster. Mike mentioned in a few interviews that Rodan is somewhat of a rogue, where audiences won't know where his allegiance lies. Oh god, I taste blood. Excuse me. This is further backed up by the fact that Ghidorah isn't the only monster Rodan fights. I personally didn't see this coming, but oh look, there it is. Yes, Rodan will fight Mothra in the film. We don't see much other than Rodan turning to strike her, forcing her to the ground, pinning her against a building, and more. Hopefully we'll get more impressive dogfights in the film. Now, despite what HN Entertainment may say, actually, I think they said nothing about this. Hold on, let me check this. Yeah, they said nothing. So Ghidorah has a wing beam attack. This attack seems super devastating with the shot we got. Not only is the sheer force produced enough to knock Godzilla back, but the actual beams leaving his wings take out a good number of allied aircraft in his vicinity. Now, if you've seen most of the Godzilla films featuring Ghidorah, then this attack would be new to a lot of people. Hell, it was new when I saw it. But then I remembered a little film released in 1998. No, not that one. What do you take me for? The same monster exhibiting a similar attack. Sit down, ladies and gents, time for a history lesson. After the Heisei Godzilla series ended, Toho went ahead and made 3 Mothra films dubbed the Rebirth of Mothra trilogy. The final entry, Rebirth of Mothra 3, and the Guardian monster take on an altered version of King Ghidorah. And in this film, Ghidorah had a similar attack dubbed the anti-gravity beams, where purple streams of electricity is fired off from his wings. It isn't confirmed yet if this ability is a far cry from Grand King Ghidorah as a possible major Easter egg, but I guess we'll find out once the film releases, or maybe if the commentary track comes up. So here's something a little spoilery. In the balanced TV spot, we see Ghidorah erupting from the ground. It's unknown where he is, but I assume he was underwater, mainly due to the building seen in the foreground and a possible horizon behind him. If you look closely at his left head, which is to our right, thank you. It's hard to tell, but it looks like his head is missing. A couple other YouTubers pointed this out, but it's hard to tell. The shot is pretty dark, and the text on screen does make it a little harder to tell whether his head is missing or not. What do you guys think? Leave a— No! We keep that for the end of the video, but— No! Okay, fine. So when these new kaijus first dropped in the second trailer, the number one question posed was, where were they? Well, thanks to extended footage, we know their probable locations. The insect toy kaiju, or the desert titan to some, looks to be at this outpost in North America. Before its arthropod-like legs spurt out of the ground, we can see what looks like the Arizona Monument Valley behind it, so probably this outpost. But the rock kaiju, or mountain titan, poses a bit more of a challenge, as its environment doesn't give any landmarks like the desert titan. All we know is that it's close to some small suburban neighborhood, but that really puts it anywhere on the map. But the next shot showing a video screen monitoring the kaiju shows this: Monarch Outpost 67, Munich, Germany. So that puts him most likely here. In terms of the new Titans, Serizawa states there are 17, and some of them have names leaked via set visits. Other than Godzilla, Mothra, Rodan, Ghidorah, and Kong, yes, Kong was mentioned, there were other names which most G fans won't recognize. But a lot of these names have tie-ins with existing creatures, deities, and rulers from mythology and history. These names are Abaddon, which could be linked to the Angel of the Abyss from the Catholic Bible, Baphomet, an old deity that traces back to medieval Latin America, I think. The wiki wasn't very helpful. Bunyip, a mythological monster of Australian descent, which could explain what's hiding out there. Leviathan, which, let's face it, we probably already know what it is. Methuselah, a biblical patriarch and a figure in Judaism. Sargon, possibly linked to Sargon the Great, the first ruler of the Akkadian Empire. And Typhoon. It's Typhoon. This question plagued me a lot. Ever since that first image of Godzilla dropped showing him giving off his dominance display, the burning question that plagued me and the people I annoyed to hell with in the many months between the first trailer and now is, how did Godzilla's spines change? What happened in 5 years that 60 years didn't do? And while King of the Monsters won't answer this question exactly, the prequel graphic novel, Godzilla Aftershock, does. In the book, during his final fight with the Muto Prime, Godzilla is hit with some kind of sound attack. The attack was so strong it lacerated the King of the Monster's body and shattered his spines, to the extent where he started bleeding nuclear energy from his back. Now this would go in line to why his spines are so different. They're more jagged and misshaped, nothing like his 2014 spines. That's because his spines regenerated. This is well in tune with nature. A great example would be lizards. Whenever a lizard loses its tail, the regenerated tail looks nothing like the original tail. Or an even better example is when bones break. Usually we could tell when a bone's broken when the area is supposed to be regenerated. It's usually more lumpy and not as smooth as the original bone. It's important to note that the events in Aftershock only take place a few months after the San Francisco incident, so Godzilla has a lot of time to recover from his battle with the Muto Prime. Alright, here we go. Remember this shot from the second trailer? Welp. Looks like Steven was right. That is Godzilla. In the final trailer, we get to see Godzilla burning from entering the atmosphere. It's currently unknown how he got up there, but there are two major candidates who probably did it. Mike has stated in an interview that Rodan was pretty powerful, a literal flying H-bomb, and once compared his strength with Godzilla. But the most likely scenario is Ghidorah bringing Godzilla up, then dropping him to Earth. Now to segue from fall to here. Yeah. It seems that the fall caused Godzilla to go burning, or flaming. Scarlet? Flame on. But yeah, it looks like Godzilla will take on this superheated form to defeat Ghidorah, and his burning appearance looks pretty familiar. Who knows, maybe we'll see the grand return of the red spiral ray. And another thing I want to mention is this shot here, where we see Goji firing off a heat wave. And if you look closely, the wave looks like Mothra's wings. And the more I look at it, reminds me a lot of the Rebirth of Mothra film cover. Another possible connection to Rebirth of Mothra series? Maybe Mothra and King of the Monsters will sacrifice herself to power up Godzilla further. Or maybe this is part of that primal connection between her and Godzilla. As Mike explained before, in case you don't know, the eye spots on Mothra's wings are based on Godzilla's eyes, kind of like an evolutionary likeness, and pretty similar to modern animals that try to mimic other ailments of nature, like mantises looking like leaves, or caterpillars looking like snakes. Oh look, another potential spoiler. Now in my reaction to the final trailer, you kinda see me scoff at this scene. And it's for good reason, not out of spite, but disappointment. Now, hear this. I think Zarazawa's gonna die. Now, playing the scene, he does a lot of the things that point to him dying in the film. First, he sets up some kind of device. At first, I thought it was the oxygen destroyer, but after viewing the trailer a few more times, I now realize it's a nuclear warhead. Second major sign he's going to die, he takes off his hazmat suit before touching Godzilla. Now, if you don't know, most incarnations of Godzilla produce a radioactive signature almost, just continuously flowing with radiation, so him touching that Ah dear, he's not gonna walk away from that, is he? So this is what I think. I think Zarazawa sends himself down to Godzilla's temple with a warhead to try and revive him for some unknown reason to us at the moment. He won't be able to fire the warhead without him dying. This could be because he has to manually set it off. There won't be enough time between escaping the temple and the actual explosion, or his character is dying from some other known ailment. So he decides, might as well end it here. Personally, I'm quite sad to see Zarazawa go. I loved his character back in 2014 and how he's a callback to the scientist in the original 1954 film. It would have been nice to see him again in Godzilla vs. Kong and other future MonsterVerse films, assuming there will be more. Speaking of potential character deaths, let's talk about Dr. Emma Russell. What leads me to believe she's going to die is this shot, where we see her on the ground looking a little weak and she says,
"Long live the king."
And this shot showing almost everyone minus Miss Russell, Barnes, Zarazawa, and Vivian Graham, and it looks pretty similar to this shot where Mark has to hold back Madison while looking pretty upset. This could be due to Mothra possibly, but most definitely, dying, or her mother sacrificing herself to ensure Godzilla's victory. Oh boy, that's everything. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Please feel free to comment and like the video, I guess. Oh god, I'm just getting generic. Shit. I'd like to thank the few people who actually decided to watch these videos. Godzilla has always been a big part of my life ever since I was a kid. Feel free to watch that in the playlist. And despite the Rotten Tomatoes review, it's I hope you guys will enjoy this film as much as I will tomorrow, or if you're lucky, you'll see it later today around 7 p.m. Because you gotta love those Thursday screenings, Until next time, this is Leopard Gecko Master from Repaw Reptiles, talking to you all from the Lone Colony, signing out.
Long live the king.
And I'll be sure to cover Godzilla vs. Kong.